No swear. We didn't
Wasn't
get
gonna
all our
let
swear
Brian
words out
open the
before
show
we
with that.
started.
Okay. I'm glad you got that out of your system. Okay. So we are back for the second time today, at least for Jake, Simon, and myself.
Yeah.
Because we had the discussion about why we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and why now. So Jake, if you want to go ahead, just give like a real quick recap of the handful of reasons that you, Simon, and I discussed this afternoon on why we're doing Aaron Rodgers and why we're doing it now.
Okay, so real quick. First of all, he played for us for a really long time, 18 years. He's one of the best, if not the best, Green Bay Packer of all time. He gave us a lot of great memories. Need I say more?
Yes.
I guess I guess I'll say more. What I'll say is, like I said earlier, don't tell me that you weren't sitting in front of your phone arguing that Aaron Rodgers is the best player in the NFL or Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. If he would switch situation with Tom Brady, he'd have 6 rings. Like, don't tell me you weren't saying that kind of stuff. And the thing that people have to understand, and they don't, is you can separate the player from the person. When he puts that Packer helmet on, he is the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. See, this doesn't directly correlate to what people were complaining about, but my girlfriend does this all the time when we're watching sports. Oh my God, he's so ugly. I do not care, okay? He's going to put a helmet on. He's going to run into somebody on full speed, okay? It's cool. I like it. It happens 5 seconds at a time, and you just shut up over there, okay? Thank you. So she's always like, ew, Rodgers, ew, with the stash. I hate his stash. Oh my God, I hate his greasy hair. It's like, dude, he throws touchdowns, okay? He drops dimes. I don't give a shit what his hair looks like. He could literally have a mullet down to his ass. I don't care.
Clay
Doesn't
Matthews
bother
did.
me. Right? Well, girls like Clay Matthews. So the point I'm trying to make is Aaron Rodgers was really good for us. We all love Aaron Rodgers. I guarantee all 4 of us own an Aaron Rodgers jersey, maybe even 2.
Couple of them.
Yeah, exactly. So
I have a lot of T-shirts.
we appreciate what Aaron Rodgers brought to the Green Bay Packers. He kept us relevant for a long time when we had a really shit defense. Let's just call it what it is. So
Yep.
we're each gonna pick 5 plays. I know we all have honorable mentions. We're gonna do that after. So we're all gonna pick our personal top 5. It doesn't mean it's his career top 5 or whatever. It's our personal top 5 moments, plays, whatever you want to call them. So we're ready to go, Tyler.
I'll just say the other couple things. Like, one, we planned this in advance.
Oh, yeah.
We planned this around draft day, that we picked that today was going to be the day. We fit it into all of our schedules. We planned it basically as soon as we found out that he was officially traded.
Yep.
We wanted to wait for that news to actually be official. And today, as it says in the description, we are closing the book on Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about him anymore after today. After today, it's all focusing on the current team. We're not going to compare Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to compare their first seasons to each other. After today, he's a guy on a different team. It's no longer relevant to us until he retires a Packer, but that's potentially years away. But we're closing the book on this today. So that's where we're at. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start. We're going to go 5-1. Does anybody want to volunteer to go first?
Sure.
I already talked, so
I'll go.
All right, Simon, go ahead. You have the floor. Give me your number 5 Aaron Rodgers moment.
All right. So my number 5 is kind of like when you knew he was going to be the guy. So Packers versus Cowboys.
Oh, okay. On Thanksgiving Day, I like it.
Yeah.
That was a solid pick.
That's an interesting
That's
one.
a very solid pick.
Did anyone else have that on their list? I thought it was like
No, that's great.
Yeah, that was yeah. So just like starter Brett Favre injured his throwing arm, and Rodgers came in, and they took they were down 27-10, and then they ended up losing 37-27. But that was kind of like when you knew that Rodgers was going to be like solid in the league. Maybe not like Hall of Famer or anything like his career ended up being, but that was when you kind of knew. So it was 18 for 26 for 201 yards.
Didn't he start like 1 for 4 and then complete like 13 out of the next 14?
Yeah, it was something like that. I have to go back and look at the exact game, but that was my number 5.
That's a good one. Brian, what's you've been absent for a little bit, but what's your number 5?
So actually, Simon was there for my number 5, and that's part of the reason why it was one of my favorites. But it was the Hail Mary against Detroit, and some of my honor mentions. I was actually in at least one of them. I'll talk about. Me and Simon were there together. But my honorable our number 5 is the Hail Mary to Richard Rodgers, where we beat Detroit in overtime, or excuse me, right before at the last play of the game. And part of the funny story is me and Simon, we were pretty energetic, especially when we were around together, or each other watching the game, and we screamed and chest bumped in my living room. My kids were sleeping, and my wife came out and yelled at us. But and also
awesome.
that
my
came
story for that is so closely similar to that. I can't wait to talk about
we
it.
we were yelling and freaking out in the living room, and
That
then we got yelled at. But that kept that playoff push alive. So I mean, that was a great moment. So, and just that throw, if you go back and watch it, he's straddling our own 35-yard line. That thing flew. Not to mention how high it went. It probably went just as high as it went far. It flew about 70, between 68 and 70 yards, probably 69 yards in the air.
Nice.
So it was. I went back and watched it today, and it's crazy.
That one's higher for me.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. All right, Jake, what's your number 5?
My number 5 created one of the hardest NFL photos of all time, and it was when Aaron Rodgers had a rushing touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams and absolutely made Jalen Ramsey look like a fool. He puts the hands behind the back. He's talking shit, and he's letting the world know that I'm the MVP. That is still one of my favorite photos of all time.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Oof. So my number 5 was it's Randall Cobb again.
That's higher for me. You stole it from me.
Did you?
I got that like on number 2 or 3 on my list. But I combined it with the 2 times he did it.
So Rodgers gets his knee landed on early in this game. Comes back in the second half with the Packers down 20-3. Chicago's win percentage at this point was 93%. So 14 minutes and 10 seconds in the fourth quarter, Geronimo Allison gets a crazy catch in the back of the end zone. Chicago's win probability goes down to 86%. A big play to Devontae Adams.
That was a disgusting catch too. That play to Geronimo Allison, if I remember right, that was a gross throw too.
Yep. Chicago's win percentage drops down to 74%. Devontae Adams scores a touchdown. Chicago's win probability goes down to 67%.
That was all Devontae too.
That was all Devontae. Yeah. Yep. He kind of got the angle, got his shoulder around, and I still like watching it. It's like, how did he score on that play? Just watching him bend the angle there. Bears get a couple first downs. It's starting to look like, oh shoot, maybe the Packers won't be able to get the ball back. But Chicago's win percentage after those first couple first downs goes back up to 86.8%. They make a field goal with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left. Their win probability goes to 93.2%. And then Chicago drops what would be a game-winning interception.
Yep.
Who was that?
I think it was Kyle Fuller.
Yeah, Fuller. That's who it was. That's right.
Hit him right in the hands.
Yep.
Right in the chest.
Yeah.
I can't remember if the receiver slipped or ran around.
Adam flipped on the play.
And then he was calling for a flag too.
Yep.
And then Aaron Rodgers hits Randall Cobb, and we've shared the video before, and oh no, it's Randall Cobb again. I'm gonna cry. He goes for a 75-yard touchdown to make it 24-23 with 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. And then we have to sweat it out. Clay Matthews takes a terrible late hit on the quarterback, which it was. And it's just a terrible choice. It was a 4th and 9 play, like totally unnecessary. But Nick Perry redeems him with a strip sack on 4th and 10, and the Packers win the game.
Freaking Nick Perry, dude.
That guy next week we're doing our top 5 Nick Perry plays.
Yeah. Only when he had a club
every play with a club.
It's the only time he played well.
For real, dude.
All right, Simon, what's your number 4?
I think that was his best season too.
That was easily his best season.
And he got paid too.
Yeah, we give him a decent contract. All right, my number 4 is hold on one second. Yeah.
Well, we're not doing anything till you tell us number 4. So
Sorry.
That's
So,
a good idea.
the playoffs versus the Cowboys, divisional
That's a
round.
good one.
So up 21-3 on the Cowboys, lead evaporated, and then the Packers faced a 3rd and 20 situation from their own 32-yard line, 12 seconds remaining. Rodgers rolled out to his left and heaved a pass down the sideline to Jared Cook, which was disgusting. The first time I saw it, I was like, no way, that's complete. Like Jared Cook toe tapped hard, and where was I? Put the ball on the Cowboys 33-yard line, and Mason Crosby booted a 51-yard field goal as time expired to win. So that's my like that. There's no way anyone should ever be able to do something like that again. Like,
that
it's crazy.
throw and catch is goated.
Yeah, that's honestly, if we were putting an actual like top 5 Aaron Rodgers throws together, I think you could contend that for number 1.
I would agree. It's on the list. It's on the list of the top 5.
It's on the list.
For 100. I mean, he's had a crazy amount of amazing throws, and since I'm going next, that's my number 4 as well. If you go back and watch that play where he rolls to the left, I swear it's like when he comes out, he curves that ball like back into play. It looks like it. It probably doesn't, but I don't know. I still don't understand how he threw it up the sideline like that and kept it straight like the way he did. So that's my number 4 as well. Just because that's, for one, it's in that divisional playoff game, and then
we have a 1 seed.
Yeah, and then you have Mason Crosby not hitting not 1 but 2 field goals right there at the end because they froze the kicker or whatever. And I remember the second one going up in the air and it started left, and then it curved back around. And then how many videos did we see of the Titanic music over that kick?
Oh my god, I missed those.
So that was number 4 for me because it was just such a huge moment. Like, really thought we might have another make it to Super Bowl. Like, we've been so close so many times. Not to bring it as a downer, but just the fact that we were that close that many times is just another thing that Aaron Rodgers did for us that a lot of people, for whatever reason, are throwing out the window. And it's probably because the wound is still open. But hopefully they can, look back at it and realize we've been pretty blessed for the last 17 years to pretty much always be in contention.
Right.
So on top of that, like, I watched that with one of my other friends. I think you met Carl before, right?
Yeah, it was shortly after UPCS actually. So that was one of the first games like we couldn't watch together, so we were missing it the whole time. But
yeah, him and I were like, I think I gave him a piggyback ride like around the kitchen, like two grown ass men.
That's funny because he's a Tampa Bay fan.
No, he's a Patriots fan.
Patriots, okay.
Oh.
I'm thinking of Chuck, maybe.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, that was good times.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, hit me with your number 4.
My number 4. This is where the Miracle in Motown comes in. Obviously, we broke this play down. We're going to break it down a couple more times, but it was special to me because that was one of the last games that I watched with my dad, with just me and my dad. Just me and him, just broing out, watching a game, talking some football, and
just guys being dudes.
I just remember hugging my dad after the play, and then we both sat down on the couch like, I can't believe that just fucking happened, dude. It was just, I still can't believe that happened. Like, that was my team. Like, you see all these cool highlights all the time of like cool dunks or cool like baseball catches, like robbing home runs and stuff, and then you're like, damn, bro, that was my quarterback. That was my team on national television. That was sick. So, Aaron Rodgers. Guys being dudes. Oh, Alex Harlow's in the comments, dude.
Oh, look at this guy. Guys being dudes. You got to appreciate the guys being dudes reference.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I didn't intentionally do this, but I have back-to-back meme plays / moments.
Oh, God.
Because this one is they celebrating with 113 left.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that was going to be on somebody's. It had to.
The Cowboys game. So it's a dude in a Packers jersey and a sea of Cowboys fans. He's got the mustache, and it's like a Snapchat caption that says, they celebrating with 113 left. And it's 2017. A couple big plays to Martellus Bennett and Aaron Jones. Then Rodgers scrambles for 25 yards on 3rd and 8. They run a play for Devontae Adams, and the pass is incomplete. But they run the exact same play and Devontae snags it for a touchdown with 15 seconds left.
Just gorgeous. That's the one where Devontae told him to come back to him.
Yeah.
Run the
That's
same
where
play.
we knew
Run the
Devontae was
exact
fast.
same
Run the same play and throw a better ball, I think is what he said.
Yep. And
He threw it like right towards the pylon. Devontae just goes and snags it with the cornerback on his hip. Just a great play and a great moment and a memeable moment for sure that just never seems to
Think
go
about how
away.
many ridiculous throws he's had against the Cowboys. You have that one. You have the Jared Cook one. There's one, I think, in that same playoff game to Jared Cook where he throws the first touchdown to Richard Rodgers that's like dropped inside a bucket right over someone's head.
That was the one. First of all, there's two of the Richard Rodgers that I'm going to bring up. That was the one where Sean Lee was late on coverage and he goes like this, and it goes right in between his arm and his helmet.
And like Richard Rodgers like rolled over into the
And now
end
you're making
zone.
me think of all these throws. Okay,
Yeah.
then there was the other one in the playoffs when the Dez dropped it catch where he had the hurt calf. He's going to his left.
Yeah.
He throws it. Two Cowboys go like this, and the ball goes
to Richard Rodgers in the end zone. And then
there was the one on the table against the Eagles, bro. Where it went through the guy's arms like this.
Oh, that was a good one too.
That's the Devontae in the back of the end zone.
That reminds me of the
was
Harrison
Devontae.
Smith one too, where like zipped right past his head.
Think about the Eagles too. Remember when we were on our one yard line and he threw it from 8 yards deep in our end zone and it went right between two Eagles players right to Devontae.
I loved that play.
Yeah.
He did it against the Colts.
We're mentioning our honorable mentions now.
2021 too.
Oh, I didn't mention any.
Oh yeah, I didn't have any of those in my honorable mentions. I could have had a list of like 50 honorable mentions.
Yeah,
I have the Eagles one as part of one of my things, but we'll get there. Simon, what's your number three?
When you YouTube Aaron Rodgers' best throws, like the greatest throws, and there's literally a 38-minute video, you know he's had some ridiculously crazy throws.
Yeah,
I gotta watch that after this.
Right.
Bring your lotion.
Simon, give me a number three.
All right, number three is the playoff game in Arizona. I know it's a loss. I know it's a loss.
It's on my list too.
But that last drive to take it to overtime it's something like that's just never gonna happen again.
Another game we watched in my living room.
Oh yeah, it was. You're right. So the Packers are down 20-13 with 50 seconds left remaining and a 4th and 20. And both of these are just, I mean, Jeff Janis hero, right? Like legend for that game. I have a signed picture of him, by the way.
Nice.
Worth a ton.
It's worth it to remember those two catches.
So Jeff Janis took a 60-yard play, and then they connected again for a 41-yard Hail Mary to force overtime. Overtime we're not going to talk about, but those that's just never especially where he was a 7th round pick and he was forced into play by injuries because that was the year Jordy Nelson tore his ACL and basically
that was Jones' year, baby.
We had Jared Aberdarius.
I think
James
Devontae
Jones,
and Randall Cobb were all hurt.
Yep. So something like that's just probably not going to happen for a long ass time at least.
That was against good Pat Pete too.
Yeah. We're stealing your thunder. I'm sorry. We can stop. No. All right, I'm good. I got what I wanted out.
Brian, what's your number three?
So my number three is the 2 Cobb touchdowns back in 2013 to win the division to go to where it's like 4th and 8 or whatever. And I remember I was on leave. I was in the middle of moving from Texas to Georgia, and I was watching this up in North Dakota. And 4th and 8, I see him go deep. I'm like, Aaron, come on, why are we doing this? It's 4th and 8, just get the first down. And then all of a sudden the camera pans, and you just see Randall Cobb wide open, and then he runs in for the touchdown. And then of course, the year that he gets hurt to start the season, and then the fact that these are both against the Bears, add a little extra to it. But yeah, the 2 long Randall Cobb touchdowns are 2 of my. I know it's a little cheating because it's 2 moments, but I lumped them as one.
Shout out to John Kuhn as well for that play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Picked up the block on Julius Peppers.
Yep. Jake, what's your number three?
All right. So I'm just going to give a little spoiler. First of all, that's my number 3. Second of all, my next 3 plays all happen against the Bears. I hate you, and I'm glad that Aaron Rodgers owns you. So I was going to start by by apologizing to John Kuhn because I give him a lot of flack, dude. But he did make the season saving block, I should say. But yeah, Chris Conte decided to have a seizure apparently on 4th and 8, so left Randall Cobb wide open. I think the 2018 one was my favorite. I mean, the 2013 one was lit, dude, because Rodgers gets to run down the field like, look at me, I'm the boss. You know?
That was one of his years he got hurt, right? It was why we were 8-7 at that point. First collarbone break.
Yep.
Dude, we went 8-7 and won the division.
Yeah.
Dog water division.
Yeah.
They should all be ashamed, dude. He missed like 8 games and we won the division. You all suck.
2015 was the other collarbone year, I believe, because he tried to come back in the Carolina game, but he just couldn't.
Well, he played the game.
It was 2017 because I remember I was coming home from leave in Korea, and I remember they were playing Minnesota, and I told Amanda, "Don't tell me anything about the game." And then she messaged me, and she's like, "Did you see anything about the game?" I was like, "No," and I wish you wouldn't have said anything because now I know they lost. And she's like, "No, it's worse." And I was like, and then I watched it and I just looked it up immediately because I knew it was something bad, and that's when I see he broke his collarbone.
Yeah, so Rodgers missed 7 games in 2013, and he ended up not playing 9 games in 2017.
Yeah, because 2018 we started at home, 2017 we started on the
2015 might have been the concussion year where he had a couple concussions, but
no, he played the full season.
That was
15.
Shit, what was that?
What was it? What year was it that he tried to play like late in the season against Carolina? It was like the second last game.
2017.
That was 17.
Because he broke his collarbone, and then we were still in the playoff hunt, so they tried to play him against Carolina, and then we ended up losing that game, and so they just sat him.
Astute analysis, Chris.
What do you say? I missed it.
Read the comments.
Just being rude.
I can't read. You know that.
Just can't read. Okay, my number 3, and I don't count this as cheating for Bryant to say that his was multiple moments, because this one counts as multiple moments, but it's really one encompassing thing, and it's run the table.
Yep,
that's my number 3.
I had that on consider that. Yep.
Yeah,
that's my honorable mention.
So Aaron Rodgers gets interviewed. The Packers are 4-6, and he says, "I feel that we can run the table." He said, "I feel the offense is really clicking." That season opener, by the way, this was 2016. Jacksonville, that game, the throw that he has while he's being pulled down by Jalen.
Way to kill my honorable mention. We were at that game.
On the goal line while he's being pass interfered. That I would say is also in Aaron Rodgers' top 5 throws ever.
Yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions. And me and Simon were at that game, and I remember we would have died if it wasn't for there was a Packer fan that lived in Jacksonville, and he worked in the stadium, but he took the first week off. He knew where a big ice chest was, so he went and got a big box of ice, and we were putting ice and putting it in our cheese head and putting it on our head.
It was like 110 degrees with humidity.
Yeah. And me and Simon both had shirts underneath our jerseys. Before the game even kicked off, we had taken our shirts off and put the jerseys back on because it was just so hot.
Jeez.
So,
and that throw is an honorable mention because it's just disgusting.
So. Yeah. So they get to the playoffs, and this is the Packers at one point smoked the New York Giants 38-13 in the first round of the playoffs after running the table. This was also part of the Hail Marys where Randall Cobb caught one in the back of the end zone against the Giants. And then that's where you get the crazy play to Jared Cook against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Over the final 6 games of that season, the Packers averaged 30.8 points per game.
Yeah, Rodgers was a god, dude, for
Didn't we have 2 home games against the Falcons and Eagles, I think it was, because I remember it was 2 bird mascots or something like that. We just absolutely wiped the floor with them at home.
They scored 38 points against the Eagles. That is where one of my favorite Devontae Adams touchdowns comes from, because
42 against Atlanta.
And Rodgers throws the ball, and the ball is coming into Devontae's hands as the defender is starting to get his head around, and the ball is already going through his arms into Devontae's hands. That
was Monday Night Football, dude. That was the first win in the run the table.
That was, oh my God, that throw. That's one of my favorite Aaron Rodgers throws, was part of that run the table year. But they scored 27, 21, 38, 38, 30, and 31 in the last 6 games of that season.
Yikes.
So that was the run the table year. The run the table sequence was my number 3. So Simon, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is the Miracle in Motown. I think we kind of smashed that one already, but it was just an awesome moment. And pretty much echoing Brian's sentiments on it too. It was just cool to like have a really good friend to just be there and watch that play with and get yelled at by his wife.
So, I'm gonna jump back in just because my number 2 is also that one, the Detroit Hail Mary, and my wife had her friend and her boyfriend over at our apartment, and my youngest daughter was like 9 months old, or my oldest daughter at the time was like 9 months old, and we're watching this in our apartment, and I remember like jumping up and going like, "Who caught it?" And my wife like slapping at me like, "Shut up, you're gonna wake up the baby." And like, it's just funny that we all have like that similar thing of like not wanting to wake up our kids while we're trying to be super hyped about a great play. Just the emotional roller coaster of the last 10 seconds of that, of Rodgers scrambling around, and then you see like the hand across the face mask, and then you get the untimed down, and Detroit only rushing 3, 4?
Yep. I think they rushed 3.
And then just like it's the the announcer, Rodgers turned 32 yesterday, or does he have a vintage moment in him? And he just hucks the ball up, and then you just watch Richard Rodgers just backpedal for 34 yards.
Dude, seriously.
He wasn't even supposed to go up for that either.
He wasn't. He was supposed to box out for Devontae.
Yep.
And he just backpedals for 74 seconds to get under the ball while the ball's in the air, and he goes and makes a perfect hands catch. Now, this doesn't get talked about a lot, but one of my favorite parts of this, after he makes the catch, is Randall Cobb like diving on top of him to hug him.
Yeah.
Like that's just like an awesome moment where like the emotion of the moment was just like so much that it's just like Drake and Josh where he's like, "Hug me, brother," and and just Randall Cobb just dives on top of him. He's just so excited. Glad to get a quality Drake and Josh reference into the show.
I just thought about another moment. I can't believe I didn't even think about it, but I won't say it in case it's someone else. It might be Jake in one of Jake's. I think it'll be one of Jake's top moments. But my number 2 is, this is my other Bears one. I still own you, or I've always owned you. Like I can't, like that is the biggest rivalry. I don't know if anyone hates the Bears more than that. Maybe Jake is up there. I think we all hate the Bears, and especially their fans. But like, I kind of try to rag on them at least. Like, even if it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, I'll try to make sure I throw one jab in against the Bears. And just like his overall record against the Bears, like what he did to them over the last 17 years or whatever, like is just insane. And I only wish that would happen like during his last game as a Packer, like against the Bears or whatever. But he still then went back and beat him anyway, right? But like just to say that to their fans and just like that whole fan base being defeated, that's why they hate us Packer fans, right? Like because we beat them all the time. And if God help them, if Jordan Love comes out week 1, I know we don't want, we're not moving on that, but if the trend continues, it's just going to get worse for them. Like
I was at that game too.
Oh
yeah,
God,
that's right.
dude.
That's right.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Sammy got tickets to that game and we went.
Yeah, because we went to the Washington game in Lambeau the next week.
Yep.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Jake, what's your number 2?
I'm not taking any arguments from any of you. This is the greatest throw that didn't count ever of all
God
time.
damn.
Ever.
That's in my honorable. That's in my
honorable.
Ever, dude. This throw right here is peak quarterback play. And this is the example why I will forever say that Rodgers is the greatest football talent ever. Dude, he avoids literally everybody in the stadium to avoid a sack, really 3 people. Yeah. Jumping around, jumps back, jumps left, jumps right. Then he decides to jump in the air like he's Michael Jordan or some shit. Chucks the ball while getting hit. Devontae's just getting double teamed and drops a fucking dime. I know. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited. But, dude, it was right here. Are you shitting me? You jump in the air, you throw it right here. Nobody else. Nobody in the history of the world, of the universe, or aliens, I don't care. Nobody else is doing that.
Only one that even has a chance is Patrick Mahomes. But the only reason it's in my honorable mentions is because it didn't count. But it's still there's other one that I have in my honorable mentions that I think is just as sick. But I can wait or I can say it. Do you want me to say it?
Say it. Cause I'm ready.
The throw to Jamal Williams in the corner of the end zone against the Kansas City.
Nope,
Chiefs.
It's not as good, dude. It's not as good.
It's still.
Rodgers stayed.
It's not as good.
Rodgers stayed.
It's not as good because he's not getting hit.
It's still good.
He stayed in a 3-foot box, dude.
But the one against Jamal Williams, I think you need to go back and watch that because that throw did count. But that was a sick throw. But the one against Chicago that didn't count. It's probably.
I got a story.
I would give that one over to Kansas City, but both of those are my honorable mentions because they're just both absolutely.
I didn't even think about that throw. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Simon.
Way deep in our honor.
Simon, hit me with your number one Aaron Rodgers moment.
It's just winning. It's winning the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. I know it's kind of a cop out. It's an easy answer, but how could you not? Without that ring, I think he'd be.
Don't worry, Cody. I'm about to talk about
Dan Marino, which is still good, but that really. And going back, you think about that Super Bowl and think about the first 3 starter years of Rodgers. And if you told me they would have never made the Super Bowl again, I wouldn't have fucking believed you.
Mm-hmm.
Just how he was dominant. I don't quote me on this because I'm not sure, but I think the Steelers had the number 1 defense that year too.
I believe actually.
Oh, they were at least top 3 or 5. But
they were really good. I know that.
Yeah, they were really good. And what was Ike Taylor was Rodgers ended my career.
He cries about it. Him and Ryan Clark. It's a throw to Greg Jennings. I think it's the one that is at the goal line. So, yeah.
The one over the middle?
No. Are you done with the order? Because mine's the Super Bowl too, so I'll talk about it. So
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, obviously. And so the throws you're talking about, there's one over the middle for a touchdown where he gets hit by Troy Polamalu. Yep. That might be the greatest play of Aaron Rodgers' career and Greg Jennings' career. That play right there.
Jennings for sure.
I was really surprised Greg Jennings got up from that too because it was a vicious hit.
Yeah, that was a tough hit.
Greg Jennings goes on to this is another Packer, and we all give him flack for it because he's kind of crapped on the organization for a little bit. But if you go back and actually watch that Super Bowl, he goes to the coaches and says, "Hey, they're vacating the corner route, they're not covering me." And later in the game winning touchdown is to Greg Jennings in that far right corner of the end zone, right? But just that, so there's that one that you're talking about, Simon, near the goal line. And then there's another one late in the fourth quarter. It's 3rd and 10, and we're about to have to punt back to freaking the Steelers. And Aaron Rodgers hits Greg Jennings up the seam for a huge gain that eventually leads to a field goal, which obviously we'd all love seeing football there, or touchdown there, but that leads to burning 3 more minutes off the clock. So I think that's the throw you're talking about, right, Simon? Is that one to Greg Jennings?
The one that Cody mentioned about Ryan Clark, was that the one that was this far over his fingertips?
Yeah. I think that's the touchdown one, right?
And he stands up. Yeah, crazy.
If you go, the crazy thing is, if you go watch that Super Bowl again, that we should have won by two touchdowns easy. Jordy Nelson drops a touchdown. James Jones drops a touchdown. So it's insane how well. I think
that's the beginning at that time where we're where James Jones drops the easy ones, but then he makes the nuts tough catches.
Yeah, why did he do that, dude?
Yeah, but that's we all just knew how good Aaron was going
to be in US points per game that year.
That one to Jordy was right in the bucket too. That was a hell of a throw.
But Jordy made a touchdown later in the game. The first touchdown in the game, actually, I think, it was to Jordan Nelson.
Yeah, I think so.
It was on the right sideline. And then the second touchdown was the pick 6.
Yep.
All right, Jake, what's your number one Packers Aaron Rodgers moment?
And Bryant already took it, but no moment will ever be bigger than I own you. Can you imagine the balls? Seriously, imagine the balls to stand up and there's just everybody just raining double birds on you. And you say, listen, I'm your daddy, okay? I run this mother. This is my house. You all rent it and you pay to come to my house. Imagine saying that, dude. Nuts. I can't believe them. I still watch that video today. When I get amped up for shit, I'm just that's it. I got to watch Aaron Rodgers poop on the Bears.
I do love looking in the crowd after that happened. And people are just
bro, he stands up. I don't know. he's like the coolest guy ever. I swear to God. Like I'll always love Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like whatever happened between them, I don't care. It happened. He stands up so slow, right? And he's just like, like the bill, like give me that shit, right? And then he's just like, oh, you want to talk to me? you talking to me? It's like, oh shit, you messed up now, dude.
Yeah, it's just
I'll be
iconic.
I'll be fair, and I think Chris will probably appreciate this, but I feel like this moment for us to the Bears is probably what it felt like for Vikings fans when Randy Moss like fake mooned Lambo.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but you want
to I don't even hate on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it
don't
was funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
But you want to know what his karma was? He'd have Joe Webb start a playoff game versus the Packers. So you had to watch Joe Webb in the playoffs, dude. You fought the whole year to watch Joe Webb at Lambeau.
It's kind of classless. It's okay.
It's a flex. I mean, when you have ownership, I mean, you can flex a little bit. You can bend the rules a little.
Yeah.
Bro.
Oh, Chris is talking about Randy Moss, not Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
I'm saying for both of them.
A guy that says straight cash, homie. Like, do you think that guy has class? Come on.
Yeah.
Think about it.
The other karma
think
that
that's
Randy
just
Moss
fun.
has is never winning a Super Bowl, so there's that.
That's true.
Cody said he could have made a whole magazine about it. So my number one, and Simon mentioned it already, but it's the back-to-back Hail Marys to Jeff Janis against the Cardinals. Because the fact that it goes where like this is the season of where Aaron Rodgers gets like the Hail Mary King like title attached to him. The first one is 4th and 20 from their own 4-yard line with 55 seconds left. And you let them rip off a 61-yard pass play.
It's like just an absolute frozen rope, too, isn't it? I can't remember. Like, it's just, it's not one of those high ones. He just beams
and there's
it.
nobody within 10 yards of Jeff Janis. And like everybody's just like shook at this point. Like, how did that just happen? And like knowing how the game goes after that, it's just like you don't know in that moment too that 37 seconds from now it's about to get even crazier.
Man.
So they go where the next play the Cardinals bring pressure and they do the opposite of what the Lions did that year where they didn't bring pressure. And Rodgers does his best to escape and he rolls to his left and he's got nowhere else to go. So he just launches the ball just as far as he can. He just blindly just chucks it. And Jeff Janis, he goes, like you see him jogging, and then he sprints 5 yards into the end zone from the 5-yard line, goes up into double coverage, like Jake said earlier, against prime Patrick Peterson.
Man.
And makes a catch, comes down with it, lands on a dude, pins the ball between his elbow and his hip, and then grabs it and controls it.
The other Cardinal player tried to punch it out too.
Yeah. The guy tried to dive on top of him after.
I'm so surprised that more people don't use that move that Aaron Rodgers. You don't even see it that much in Hail Marys. You've seen Aaron Rodgers do it this last year against the Giants. So unfortunately on the play he hurt his thumb. Mm-hmm. But like he does that where he rolls out and then he plants and just goes. He did that for his one in Detroit, the two pretty much in Arizona, the one against the Giants in the playoffs. I mean, so
that was a thing that was. So I was watching. I can't remember what I was watching NFL Network when they were talking about that game, and they like mic'd up Calais Campbell on that play, and he's like, "Oh, there was no way he should have rolled out to left like that and threw it." So I mean, they were definitely not expecting it.
That's ridiculous, dude. How he was on his heels and he just whips it in the air. That's all arm.
Like, he's just fuck it. Jeff Janis is down there somewhere.
Yep.
It's nuts, dude. I can't believe that.
The fact that those two plays happen back to back where like our top 3 wide receivers are hurt. And like Simon said, we're talking about Jeff Janis and Jared Abbrederis being the top guys and hitting Jeff Janis not once for a 61-yard completion, but twice for a long touchdown. And like I said, against prime Patrick Peterson.
Didn't he throw for over like 100 yards on that drive too? Because he got sacked.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I said it. It was like 101 total.
Yeah. So he threw for more yards than the length of the football field on that drive.
That's so...
So that was my number one. Let's talk some honorable mentions. I mean, there's some of them that we didn't have in here. Definitely a Bears moment that I have in my honorable mentions that I'm surprised nobody mentioned. Six touchdowns in the first half.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about that one.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't
40
think about
Lacey's
that one.
hurt today, too.
0
He had a
in the
crazy
first
touchdown
half.
in the game.
I was so mad that I mean, obviously we're winning that
It's
game,
the
but I
smart-
wanted him
it's
to
the
break the
smart thing
NFL
to do.
record. I wanted him to break the
Yeah.
NFL record. Another big one for me that I thought about when we were talking was, didn't he have a monster game against the Houston Texans when the Houston Texans were like 7-0 and
Oh, yeah.
they were undefeated and we beat
He
them?
JJ Watt did the belt, dude.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one too. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I just thought-
when players do the belt and it just
Yeah.
backfires on them, like Tennessee a few years back.
The Bears did it.
Yeah,
The Bears did it the
You
year that
remember the
Rodgers got
playoffs?
hurt.
You remember
They
the
did it in
playoffs
the
with
game that
Atlanta?
Rodgers got hurt.
yeah.
Um,
God, that would have been. That's a good one.
Cody,
I
the
didn't think about that
20-0
one.
comeback. That was my number 5 moment.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Rodgers is just playing the Bears as Hall of Fame revenue itself. I bet it is.
What was that stat? Like Rodgers is throwing like, I can't remember. I don't want to misspeak, but I think he
If
has more like passing yards and touchdowns. Like then he would be like the third best
It's
Chicago quarterback in their history or something like that.
if you use just Aaron Rodgers stats versus the Bears, he would be like the fourth best quarterback in Bears history.
In terms of yardage,
I think it was
Touchdowns,
touchdowns
everything.
was the mark was
Wow.
touchdowns.
I think yardage was pretty high on the list too. Because remember, they've never even
I
had a
have to go
4,000
look that up.
passer,
That's funny.
yard passer.
That's disgusting.
I believe he's thrown more touchdowns against the Bears than Mitchell Trubisky threw as a Bear.
I believe that.
That's
Yeah.
that's.
I believe that
could
that is
have
correct.
probably told you that without looking that up.
So we talked about most of mine, the 6 touchdown half. The one I thought about Houston, I got to go back and look at that game, but I think he had like 4 or 5
Yeah,
touchdowns
he
in
had
that
a,
game.
he had
I
a,
think
that
it
was
was
a monster
4.
game.
Oh, he had 6?
I'm
He had
pretty
6
sure he had
touchdowns?
6.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're right because I was like, because when I first started Googling the Chicago one, I put Houston Texans in. So I think he did have 6 touchdowns that
He had
game as
6,
well.
dude.
And then the fake spike at Miami was a good one.
Yes,
That's a good
that one's
one.
in mine.
So,
That's a good one.
yeah.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers had 6 touchdowns against Houston.
Yep.
He
I
was-
remember that.
24 for 37 for 338 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Yes, Cody, we mentioned that. Yeah, dude. I remember
Yeah. I did, Cody.
Clay Matthews JJ Watt did Clay Matthews celebration, and then he did Rodgers belt celebration, and then Rodgers was like, "Oh, mic check, dude."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't,
remember-
don't do the belt versus Aaron Rodgers. I know we've had this conversation.
Houston was like
Um,
6-0 or 7-0
yeah,
at the
they
time. I
were-
They
think.
were good. They were
They were
good.
good.
That's when they had
Yes,
like Arian
Cody,
Foster,
somebody did
Andre
mention that
Johnson.
one.
That was when
Their
Brian
defense
was
was
making
good,
himself
too.
bleed with his helmet. Pa, pa, pa.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Steroids will do that to you.
All right, I got one we haven't talked about. Rodgers breaking Favre's franchise touchdown record.
That's a
versus
good
the
Oh, that's a
Browns.
good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, I figured it was gonna happen. I'm not that hyped about it.
No, but I mean, it's still like
Still
it
a
was-
huge
It was
moment.
the fact that it did end up happening.
it's a.
Dude, we
it's
have
a
2
moment.
quarterbacks in our history that have thrown for over 400 plus touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a
The
lot.
Bears, I bet if you added all the Bears quarterbacks together, they probably didn't even equal that much.
Probably true.
Twist it, Bryant. Twist the knife. There we go.
Twist
I
it.
like it.
All right, bop it.
All right, I have one that nobody's gonna have. It was
I have it.
a 3-yard rushing touchdown in 2010, Week 3 versus the Bears. It was actually in the beginning of video of Madden. That
Oh
year.
yeah.
Where-
That's a good one.
This is one that leads up to the "I own you," in my opinion, because he was still young and he still had the little pep in his step, but he
Yeah, that
points
was a
right
good
at the
one.
crowd
That's a
and gives
good
them the
one.
belt. And I was like, that one's got to be in
That was week 17, right?
No, that was a Week 3 game. That was a Monday
Oh,
Night
was
Football
it?
game, Week 3. Yeah, that was an early season matchup.
Oh,
But
okay.
that was when the Bears were really, really good, and the Packers were like just coming up. So
Yeah.
we were looking like we were going to be the Kings soon.
That was like the later Jay Cutler years. Like it was around that same time Rodgers had it was against the Vikings. Rodgers was scrambling to his left, and he was running it from like the 7-yard line, and he did a little
Ooh,
shimmy
yeah.
Yeah,
that
I
that's
know.
throw to
a
the
good one,
linebacker, and then he dove into the end zone.
No. I know who he froze. Roads closed. He
Yeah.
froze Roads closed. Is that the one you're talking about?
Okay.
2016, dude.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, that one was filthy. I remember.
So I'm
giving
just looking at Rodgers.
And then he's like, "That's all I got. That's all I got."
I just said that, Cody. See, it did. It was in the beginning video.
I'm looking at this was Rodgers' highest passer rating game, 2019 against the Oakland Raiders. 25 of 31, 80.6% completion percentage, 429 yards, and 5 touchdowns. A 158.3 passer rating.
Perfect. That's a perfect passer rating.
Passer rating.
Yikes.
I also have in here in my notes just to put in just the Rodgers and Devontae and the Rodgers and Jordy Nelson connection years.
God damn it! I have that. I have Rodgers and Nelson back shoulder.
The fact that combined that Rodgers to just those 2 wide receivers is like 147 touchdowns.
Hell yeah!
You're looking at almost like 150 touchdowns between those 3 players.
Yeah.
It's not quite in the group, but it's almost how Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne were.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I would say that Aaron Rodgers had more of like people around him at the time too. Like when it was Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison or Peyton Manning and Reggie White, there wasn't any more prominent wide receivers on that team. When it was Jordy Nelson, you also had Greg Jennings for part of the time, Devontae Adams for part of the time, James Jones, Randall Cobb. Remember there was that year that we thought all 3 of the wide receivers would go over for 1,000 yards. They're pretty close to it, right?
I mean, we had the early years too where they used to run 5 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Bro, Ruvell Martin days, baby. Let's go.
I mean, Donald Driver.
Bro. Donald Driver was so good. I didn't appreciate him enough. I'm mad at myself.
Yeah, well, we were so young.
I love Donald Driver.
No, man. I would appreciate him so much right now as a 30-year-old. I'd be, oh, man. I
got to meet him last summer. That was cool.
Yeah.
Well, he got a Super Bowl. He was on the Super Bowl team, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He got injured. So.
And then
Charles
Woodson wasn't injured on that team.
Yeah, him and Charles Woodson. I mean, during the Super Bowl, they got hurt in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, true.
All right. Anybody else have any more honorable mentions they want to toss out there?
I mean, I'm sure we could go forever, but
yeah, there's
I'm looking at players who've caught 1 receiving touchdown from Aaron Rodgers.
There's like
solid ones.
There's like so many that we probably didn't even name, to be honest with you.
Just one. Aaron Ripkowski.
That's what
there
I was
we
going
go.
to say. Dang it.
Don't ever mention him ever again.
Yeah, fumble against Atlanta.
He's the one that
we were at that game, Simon.
He's the one that messed up that whole game, bro. We were moving down the field.
Oh, here's one. I don't even know who this is. Corey Hall.
He used to be
number 35.
Yeah. I don't remember him at all.
He was a fullback.
All right, what about?
I think that was like one of his first touchdowns too. That was
Ronald
like
Martin,
really early years.
Ravell Martin.
I just said that. Ruvell Martin, bro. He used to be number 82. He was the guy that we used to put in the 5 wide, bro.
I don't remember him either.
Keep going. I got you. Keep going.
I mean, all the rest of them are. I mean, I recognize all those other names. Josiah DeGuara, Malik Taylor, Trevor Davis, Samori Toure, Aaron Ripkowski, Dominique Daphne, Jarrett Boykin, Brandon Bostic, Ryan Taylor, Corey Hall, Ravell Martin, Justin Perillo, Ryan Grant.
Justin Perillo.
You remember when people were mad about Perillo taking 80? Oh my God, that was when the number thing started.
EQ.
He only had 1 touchdown. What a bum! And wasn't he supposed to be like the number 2 wide receiver of the Bears last year?
He dropped one in the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
Rodgers could have literally couldn't have handed that to him better, dude.
Cody said Rodgers had some key blocks during his career too. One of them this year against Dallas.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he threw the shoulder around a little bit. He has one of the best quarterback tackles in NFL history too. I'll say it was against the Saints. He threw a pick, and the dude's coming down the sideline like a 5-yard line, and Rodgers just laid his ass out.
That was a good hit.
Like not a position you want to be in, but like, hey, like Rodgers made his like presence felt on the play.
What about when he was yelling at a couple of the centers over the years where one snap goes over his head, he goes, "Oh shit," or he says, "Ball."
I remember that one. That was against the Cowboys too, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
When he's like, "Snap the fucking ball."
Man, he was pissed. He got into his grill, man.
Yeah.
All right. So this all being said, like we're not gonna hammer on Aaron Rodgers anymore. Like it's gonna be only when it's relevant, really. Like we're not gonna do another Aaron Rodgers episode. We're not going to hammer on him. We're not going to talk about what he's doing with the Jets. Like, we're not doing anything else like that. We're really closing the chapter on this one. So I mean, if it's of your opinion that, you know, we shouldn't be talking about him for whatever reason, we wanted this show to just be fun, to remember him in a Packers uniform, and that's all we're discussing. So appreciate you guys hopping on with us, and we will see you guys soon. Basically after this, we're getting ready to start planning preseason content and stuff for the 2023 season. So that's where we'll be at coming soon. So we'll definitely obviously post when we're going to be doing our next Packers show. It's probably going to be a few weeks to a month away, but in the meantime, we're looking forward to what the 2023 season holds for the Packers. We're very optimistic and we're excited for what the future holds for number 10 in the quarterback position, and where we're going to go from here with the Packers. So we're excited. We'll be here all season. Win, lose, tie, doesn't matter. We'll be here the whole time talking about what we got looking forward to the following week. So we'll see you guys soon. Like I said, probably a few weeks to about a month before we're back doing some more Packers stuff, and it's all going to be about the future.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.